The United States is spending billions of dollars to dominate the future of artificial intelligence, AI, while China may end up winning this race through a cheap chip that costs less than $1. At first glance, this seems contradictory. After all, the global narrative revolves around the most advanced chips in the world, 3-nanometer chips used in AI, data centers, and supercomputers. But almost no one notices that these cutting-edge chips are not actually what keeps the world running. And the strangest part is that while the West is racing toward technological extremes, China has focused on something much simpler and potentially far more powerful. How can something so cheap put an entire superpower at risk? If you listen to politicians and big corporations, it seems like the entire technological war in the world revolves around one thing. The narrative is always the same. Whoever has the most advanced, fastest, and most efficient chips will rule the future. And these chips do exist. They are extremely complex components built on an almost unimaginable microscopic scale, where billions of transistors are packed into a tiny space. This is the foundation on which NVIDIA, TSMC, and the entire data center race is built. But there is a major flaw in this idea. It completely ignores what actually keeps the real world running. Because in practice, most chips used today have nothing to do with artificial intelligence. They are simple, older, and extremely cheap chips. In the semiconductor industry, these are called legacy chips. Despite the name, they are not outdated or unimportant. In fact, they are the backbone of almost everything. For example, a modern car uses between 1,000 and 3,000 chips. These control everything, from the engine and sensors to safety systems, steering, batteries, and even window controls. The key point here is that if even one of these chips is missing, the entire car cannot be sold, even if it costs $50,000. A component worth just a few cents can bring an entire supply chain to a halt. Now apply this to factories, hospitals, power systems, communication networks, and almost every modern machine, and the reality becomes clear. The world does not run on advanced chips alone. It runs on these simple chips. And this is where the real issue begins. The most interesting part is that these simple chips do not exist because they are low quality, but because they are actually the best choice for specific tasks. Unlike advanced chips, which are extremely delicate and sensitive, these legacy chips are larger, more durable, and highly reliable, especially in harsh environments. They can withstand extreme heat, voltage fluctuations, electrical interference, and even radiation. That is why they are used in cars, industrial machines, and even spacecraft. In other words, while modern chips are designed for maximum performance, these older chips are designed for survival. And that is why they still dominate the market. Today, around 76% of global semiconductor production consists of these so-called old chips. Despite the entire AI race, these chips are still the foundation of the real global economy. China understood something that the West overlooked. If you cannot win in the most advanced technology race, you take control of what everyone absolutely needs. And that is exactly what happened. After US sanctions restricted China's access to advanced chip-making machines, China made a strategic move. Instead of directly competing at the highest level, China invested billions of dollars into massively scaling the production of these simple chips. Unlike the most advanced chips, these chips do not depend on the world's most sophisticated machines. They can also be manufactured using older, cheaper, and more accessible technologies. China quickly began building factories and expanded production to a level that no other country can currently match. And it wasn't just about quantity, it was also about price. While American and European companies operate under pressure to maintain profits, shareholders, and margins, Chinese companies operate under a different system. They receive strong financial support from the state. This means these factories are provided with free land, subsidized electricity, tax exemptions, and almost interest-free loans. In practical terms, This eliminates the single biggest cost in the semiconductor industry, the initial investment. And this is the point that changes everything. Chips are not expensive because the materials are costly, but because the factories are extremely expensive. A single fabrication plant can cost tens of billions of dollars, and that cost is usually recovered over years of production. But if the government absorbs that cost, the final price of chips can drop to a level that seems irrational in a traditional market. And that is exactly what is happening. Chinese companies are selling chips at prices so low that Western companies cannot compete without making losses. And when that happens, the outcome is predictable. Market domination begins. In fact, what is happening with chips has happened before, and the outcome was entirely predictable. In the early 2000s, the United States and Europe were leaders in a very important technology, solar energy. Western companies were ahead, manufacturing solar panels, leading in engineering, and building an entirely new market. For example, Germany had become a global benchmark in this field and was actively promoting the technology through government policies and incentives. Everything suggested that this sector would remain under Western control for decades to come. The Chinese government declared solar energy a national priority and began massive investment in the sector. Free land, interest-free loans, heavy tax incentives, and direct production support all were provided. The goal was not efficiency, but scale, and above all, lowering cost. Within a few years, the global market was flooded with cheap Chinese solar panels, many of which were sold below their actual production cost. Western companies could not compete. On one side, companies had to maintain profitability, while on the other, the goal was purely market dominance. The result came quickly. Traditional companies began shutting down one after another. And in less than a decade, China controlled more than 90% of global solar panel production. Now coming back to chips, the pattern is almost identical. China is using the same strategy, but in a far more sensitive sector. Because while solar energy is important, semiconductors are essential. And when someone gains control over this level of supply chain, they influence not just one market, but an entire system. Building a semiconductor factory in the United States or Europe is not just expensive. It is significantly more expensive than in any Asian country. The initial costs can be around 10% higher, while operational costs can go up to 35% higher. And it is not just about cost. Time is also a major issue. While a factory in Asia can be built in around 20 months, the same process in the United States can take almost twice as long. Now, when all these factors come together, higher production, artificially low prices, faster construction on one side, and higher costs, longer timelines, and constant pressure for profits on the other, the competition becomes extremely difficult. If a Chinese company can sell a chip for 10 cents, while a Western company's production cost for the same chip is 50 cents, then the outcome of this competition becomes obvious from the start. And this doesn't happen suddenly. First, profit margins shrink. Then certain production lines become economically unviable. And eventually, some factories completely shut down production. And this is how an entire industry can slowly disappear without anyone realizing it at the beginning. So far, the picture is fairly clear. China is increasing production, lowering prices, and putting pressure on the global market. In theory, the simplest solution seems to be this. If Chinese chips are cheaper due to subsidies, tariffs could be imposed to level the playing field. And in fact, this is the initial response being considered by the United States and Europe. But a complication arises here that makes the situation much more complex. Unlike solar panels or steel, chips are not usually sold directly. They are hidden inside other products. A car, a washing machine, medical equipment, all of these contain dozens or even hundreds of chips. And this changes the entire logic of the system. Because now it is not just a chip being imported, but an entire finished product. In practical terms, this means that even if a country imposes taxes on Chinese chips, those same chips can still enter the market indirectly by being embedded inside products made in other countries. And identifying this is extremely difficult. The reality is that many companies themselves do not even know where the chips used in their products actually come from. According to a recent study, many companies cannot fully trace the original source of semiconductors in their supply chains. Now imagine how difficult it would be to control this at a global level. To effectively block these chips, every single component inside every imported product would need to be tracked, which is almost impossible. If governments decide to impose strict tariffs to reduce this dependency, the direct consequence would be rising prices, and not slightly, but significantly. Because these chips exist in everything. In other words, trying to block cheap chips would effectively mean making the entire economy more expensive. And this creates a difficult dilemma. Either you protect domestic industry, or you keep prices affordable for consumers. In this scenario, doing both at the same time is nearly impossible. And until that decision is made, the process continues. China keeps rapidly increasing its production capacity, adding more output than the rest of the world combined. Today, a large share of global production of these chips is already concentrated in that one country, and this trend is expected to grow further in the coming years. The real issue is not the current situation, but what happens afterward. Because when domestic demand cannot absorb all production, only one path remains: export. And when that happens at scale, the same effects seen in other industries begin to appear. Lower prices, increased competitive pressure, and the accelerating shutdown of factories outside China. And this is the point where things fundamentally shift. If Western factories stop producing these chips due to economic unviability, rebuilding that capacity is not easy. It takes years and costs billions of dollars. And in the meantime, control over foundational technology becomes concentrated in a single country. China does not need to win the race for the most advanced chips to gain global influence. If it controls the components everyone uses every day, the impact is far deeper. Now consider the long-term scenario. If Western companies continue losing ground in this sector, a point may come where producing these chips outside China no longer makes economic sense. And once that stage is reached, there is no quick recovery plan. It takes years, massive investment, and in the meantime, the entire modern economy becomes dependent on a single supplier. If you think about it, this completely changes how the global competition is understood. And perhaps that is why some very important decisions are happening away from public attention. Now, one question remains. If the entire world depends on these chips, what happens when only one country can produce them at scale? Thank you for joining me on Metrixor. I'll see you again in the next video.